Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome. This is LoreForged, the podcast for Ashes of Creation, where we talk lore, news, discussion, all kinds of fun things. We're your hosts. My name's Jibs, and I'm joined by Cash.
Hey, everybody. What's going on tonight? I hope you're having a nice week. Well, the week probably just getting started if you're listening on release day. But I'll tell you about my week in a minute.
Yeah, and Sunny's here.
Well, I'm on bated breath here, but I wanted to tell you that it's important for you guys to know how much I love you and how much I love my audience, because I am missing right now actual history, because apparently Caitlin Clark from the University of Iowa just broke the all-time scoring record for women's basketball about 3 minutes ago with a logo distance 3, and I'm up here talking to you clowns instead.
Yeah.
At least she hit the 3 to get the record. But you know what, buddy?
It was probably glorious.
That's what Sports Center's for.
That's true. He's not wrong.
Yeah, I heard my family explode from downstairs. They're like, ah! And I'm looking at settings as we're getting close to starting. I'm like, I could have just mailed it in for the first minute, right? Like, it wouldn't be so bad if I just came into the room and I'm like, hey, how about that Ashes, right?
How about that Super Bowl halftime, right?
Just take it like a hat, just the cane.
Oh, that's funny.
So
Well,
I'm here
Sonny,
and I'm excited. I'm here and I'm excited.
Yeah.
we appreciate you being here, buddy.
So what else is new? What's going on? What have you guys been doing this week?
Cash, what's going on?
It's been a week of work, and Sonny, you know how this is. As soon as you go to work for a few days, like you're locked out. You're at home, or you're at work for a few days. You're not home, so it takes a strong woman to run the household. Thank God my wife is a very strong woman, and she's usually she rolls with the punches when stuff happens. But normally the way it works is nothing breaks until you go to work and you're locked down.
It's like Newton, I think, discovered that law.
Yes, it is. It's a big, giant middle finger to people who work shift work. And so anyway, I get to work the morning of my first shift at work. My daughter's car is having issues. I'm like, it's like been the most rock solid car, and now it's having issues. So I've spent every single day at work and at home trying to figure out how to get the car to the dealership. Then it's at the dealership, and then they didn't touch it for 2 days, and it's just been an absolute kick in the nuts. But I am happy to report that it came home today. I was able to go pick it up today, and everything is working correctly. My daughter has a vehicle. I don't have to shuttle her to work and school anymore. And it came in under what I thought it was going to come in for cost. So yes.
There you go.
Thank you.
Big cheers. Happy hoots. I like it. Nice work.
Yeah.
Nice work, Dad.
Happy hoots. I did, though. I tried something different. I'm trying something different tonight. So I made an old fashioned, but here's the kicker. Like normally you make an old fashioned with all the fixins and like a big cube of ice, right?
Yes.
Well, my wife started getting really smart. She started making ice cubes out of fresh squeezed orange juice and lemon juice. So I took one of those massive ice cubes of orange juice and I put it in my old fashioned. It is a banger, folks. Cheers to
Think
me.
about this, JB. What do we think about this?
I don't know that I could. You said orange juice, right? Not pineapple? It was orange.
No,
Okay.
I said nothing about pineapple.
All right.
Pineapple's going pizza.
You said
not in an old fashioned.
All right. So in my head, I heard pineapple, but I knew it was okay. Anyway,
How did you hear that in your head?
I
You've
don't
had an
know.
old fashioned before, right?
I don't know. Yeah, actually, I made one yesterday. First time in a long time. I made one from scratch. Did that yesterday. It was a good time. Oh, gentlemen, it has been a week. But to everyone who's tuning in, thank you again so much for hanging out with us. Everyone who's here at LoreForged live streaming on Twitch at twitch.tv/LoreForgedHQ. Anyway, you can come join us for the live shows. Come join the peeps. But here on the show, we are going to be answering your mail. Actually, Axeman sent us an email. I believe he's here in chat tonight. And then we're doing a chat on the most recent dev update, dev discussion, I'm sorry, on eSports and Ashes of Creation. So, gentlemen, mailbag. Axeman says, good day, fellas. What do you all think of Ashes of Creation using artificial intelligence to assist in dungeons or with boss fights to provide a more unique type of RNG to the game? Thank you for all the content. All of you have provided me with many hours of entertainment while I've been at work. Cheers, Axeman. I'm going to go to Cash with this on this one.
You're going to meet with the
people?
AI?
I want to say this. How many people do you think just say, thank you for all the content you provided me at work? I feel like that is like us 13 years ago.
Yeah, it was. Right? I was listening to your show, Sonny, when I was in the laundry section of the. I was a janitor and I was working laundry and I was listening to your show at the time. That's how I made it through.
If there's anything that I feel that I have like accomplished in this world, it is at one time I was thanking others for the entertainment they provided me at work, and now I am providing the entertainment for those of you at work. I feel like I have accomplished my goal in life.
Life goals, right?
Yeah. Anyways,
yes. Now,
go on, Cash.
If I could only have or only be able to provide content for people like maybe including myself that is not working anymore, that would be great. That's the goal. I don't want to work anymore. I kind of just want to stay home and create content. So there's that. But it turns out you need money in order to live and make old fashions.
That is cheers. Well with orange juice.
AI, right? So I feel like, as being the elder and wisest in the room here.
Bold statement. Go on.
Yes. Well, I only got you by a few years, but anyway, I still got you. So I feel like at my ripe young age, I should be like, get off my freaking lawn with all this AI stuff, right? Like I love my wife. She's a wonderful, wonderful woman, as you both know. But she is so dead set against this AI thing that like, I don't even tell her how much I enjoy AI. It's awesome. It's amazing in the respect of, I am kind of an old soul when it comes to a lot of things, but when it comes to technology, I kind of like look forward to new things. So when the whole AI thing really started kicking in, and when I say that, I mean AI art, AI, just trying to feed your brain ideas. AI is fantastic for it. So what I ended up doing is looking at this question, I kind of contemplated a bit on whether or not I really do feel that way about AI. And I think I do. I feel very strongly in favor of AI. Do I want it to take over the world and be like a lot of these blockbuster movies that are coming out? No, definitely don't. But when it comes to being able to use AI as a tool, especially now in video games, and I've seen like some videos on how video games are using AI, and a lot of it is like AI voicing, AI acting. I just don't think it's there yet with the voice thing quite yet. It's still a little robotic to me, and it's still like, yeah, that's AI. You want it to just be like super nice and smooth. So at least from a video game perspective, when they're using it. Now, using it to change the way that certain content works in a game, I don't know that we've really ever seen anything like that yet. And if we have, then please let me know. If I've played through something that's AI, then, let me know if you played through it. But in order to make, say, boss mechanics maybe a little bit different, or maybe make the boss a little bit more reactive to positioning of your party, to be able to react to a certain type of damage. Say you got a lot of frost damage or a lot of fire damage coming in, and say they, are able to react to that and put up a shield and like, nope, try something else. That would be absolutely amazing. So am I in favor of it? 100%. I also am a little concerned that it's so new, I don't want it to break anything. I'm okay with using straight mechanics, programmed mechanics for now that are, maybe a little bit, maybe they switch them up a little bit. in the normal way that a developer would do that for mechanics. I just don't want to see the AI like ruin the experience yet until that stuff is really good and tested, but I am all for it.
Sonny?
I, for one, welcome our new robot overlords. I think that AI is a tool that is growing at a rate that is passing the Turing test here right now. I think that we are at the point where if you're not using it, then you're falling behind. I think that the game industry has always been kind of on the cutting edge of these kind of things, and there's a real opportunity here. Now, a lot of the things that you said you were concerned about, which, by the way, you can't be 100% in favor of something and then also list off 9 concerns. That's not how percentages work there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that the semantics didn't pass your grammatical test.
Well, the AI is listening and they're keeping track because they're smarter than us and they have longer memories. So it's one of those things where the stuff that you're concerned about, I think, were concerns, but those have been in the past, and it's accelerating so fast now that it's hard to say that anything that happened in the past will happen in the future, because we're moving at this incredible rate forward. And I think that AI is happening behind the scenes on plenty and plenty and plenty of things, as far as the development of stuff that is just mundane. You just have an AI work through some of these issues and continue to clean up some of these issues and other stuff like that. Is there still room for humans in this creative world? Absolutely. We're not quite at the point where I'm willing to say that an AI writes a better story than a human does. It is just kind of not there yet. But if you're not using AI in your production of a game, then I think you're missing out. I mean, for God's sakes, we are using AI. The 3 of us, are old men making podcasts, and we are embracing this kind of technology for something as simple as a logo for the show. Okay? A logo for the show that we would have designed, maybe even by hand years ago. And now we just asked it to make a logo for the show, and it did. And it was fantastic. It was so good that we're asking it to do other stuff. We're asking it to make a logo for the Sleepy Owl Tavern. We're asking it to help write show notes after listening to our show. Hey, AI, listen to our show and then just write the notes up so that we can put them on this thing, because it's easy to do this kind of stuff. The creative stuff we're still doing, but I think that we would be surprised if we found out how many of the things behind the scenes are actually already being accomplished by AI. And I'm not real worried about it, mostly because there's still a strong hand at the helm of this kind of thing. I think when you have people that are, if you don't have a Stephen Sharif, if you don't have a guy with a vision, that's where you get into real trouble, right? When you don't have somebody steering the ship and using the assets in the way that they should be. But if you have a fantastic asset like this, then use it. So I'm all about it. I think that we're well on the way. And I honestly do believe that we'd be shocked if we found out how much AI was doing to different environments.
I think it's an interesting thing, and I'm going to be completely honest, fully transparent. I don't know how AI is being incorporated into game design yet. I don't know what that looks like yet. I know I've seen it mentioned a few times. I've seen it discussed, but I know that, I guess maybe it was Warcraft that was doing it. They're starting to do it. I don't know what that looks like. Now, if it does come specifically to AI intelligence in dungeons or with boss fights to provide a more unique type of RNG to the game, I mean, obviously that sounds great. Obviously you would need some bumpers on that, right? Like, you don't want a boss to all of a sudden spawn 8 more arms and 500,000 more health. Fingers, yeah.
Not so good with fingers.
Yeah, no AI.
Fingers.
AI is not great with fingers or eyes, by the way, for anybody who does AI art.
Or bows.
It did. You know what?
Good luck.
They did
mugs.
They did. I got the mugs to work today. And
you did. That's right. I saw a successful mug implemented.
We're
growing.
We're 1 for 1. Mm-hmm. And then dwarves. Used to, AI art was not a fan of dwarves, but now it's got that wrapped up somehow. I don't know. Maybe they watched The Hobbit. I don't know.
Because all the nerds are doing AI stuff now, and they started writing to the AI gods, and they're like, "Why can't you do dwarves good?"
You're refining your dwarf knowledge inside an artificial intelligence. It's like, okay, we get it. You like dwarves. We'll figure it out.
And I think a lot of the point is, to Jibbs's point about how AI is not perfected, and you know what. Honestly, like, thank the divines, thank the gods, whatever you pray to. It's not yet. And I'm okay with that, because when it replaces human creativity and ingenuity, that's where I kind of draw the line, right? You can't be completely reliant on AI really for anything. Otherwise, you're going to completely remove the human factor. And one of our friends, Carver's in chat, was mentioning the voiceover. That does take jobs, and like I'm not okay with. I'm good as using it for a memory jogger, for a think tank, for coming up with fun ideas, new ideas. The thing that drives me nuts as a content creator is reading something that, I know Sonny, you mentioned that like we will use it sometimes to like give us ideas for our descriptions and stuff on our videos. I started off doing that, and I know we all started off doing that, but it is very easy to tell when you're just flat using ChatGPT. Like there are words that it will put in there where you're like, no. Thanks for the ideas. Thanks for the formatting. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna write my own stuff. Because there are certain freaking words in there. Like if you ever see the word enigmatic, there's about a 98.6% chance that was AI generated. It loves the word enigmatic and realm
and immersive.
How about diegetic?
Diegetic?
Like Nomad Tam wants to know if the word diegetic appears.
No, Nomad. The AI is not quite there yet to be able to use something as smart as diegetic. But anyway, I am in favor of it, but I do have my reservations to where I don't want it to take away human ingenuity and creativity.
Yeah, agreed.
You ever think like when you have this, every now and then I say something and I think, I wonder if somebody said this 100 years ago. And when I hear something like, the robots are taking our jobs, something like that. Like when you say like, I don't like that the AI might take somebody's job as a scriptwriter. I'm like, there's someone in a car factory somewhere that watched a robot pick up a tire and move it over to here that thought, this is going to be a problem.
This might be an issue to my income at some point.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
So anyway, Axeman, thank you so much for the email, friend. And don't forget, everyone who's here, you can always email us your questions, LoreForged@gmail.com, or you can call us with your voicemails for the mailbag segment at 516-875-1776. Gentlemen, dev discussion number 60 on eSports. Now, this was interesting. And to everyone who's tuning in, this is coming to us from the official Ashes of Creation forums. And Intrepid reached out to the community and asked a few questions. And, we have them here, but we don't want to just read them verbatim. So I think probably just open it up. It's like, and it was, last week when this comes out that we put out an eSports video on Ashes of Creation itself. So everyone who's watching and listening, you can go check that out as well. But guys, what do you think about eSports and Ashes of Creation?
Looks like Sonny's busy typing. He's got that closed mouth smile on his face. So I'll go ahead and start this one.
I mean, I got lots of opinions on this. I'm fired up on this topic. I'm ready to go.
You go right ahead. Do we want to cover the questions, or do we just kind of want to organically do it?
I think organically. Okay. I mean, whatever you guys think.
I have some initial early, like, general thoughts on esports as a concept. I think that esports are something that was hard for the average person to comprehend, right? Esports were something that came out that people said, I don't understand this. Similar to the concept of Twitch, the concept of someone's going to play a game and we're going to watch that person play a game. And, you know, there's a whole generation of people that are like, well, why don't you just turn that off and play your own game, right? And that's the end of the conversation as far as they're concerned. So esports is kind of the same way. Like, well, why don't you just go outside and throw a football is sometimes the answer to these things. And that's just not how it works, right? Esports are...
That's what's said to every nerdy kid or adult
right?
ever. Why don't you go outside?
Go outside, get some fresh air, and get this out of your system.
Yeah.
And 44 years later, here I am, right? Still talking about video games. So no, it didn't take. All right, so I'm still here. I think that we're so far past that, right? We're so far past the whole concept of whether or not esports will work that it's not even a conversation to me. Of course it's going to work. It's just a matter of how do you implement it the same way that some sports are not as popular as other sports, right? People love to watch football. They don't tend to watch badminton as much, you know? And there's a reason for that, right? It's a better sport to watch. It's a bigger deal. People like it more. And that's the same with esports. If you think of esport, the various games that are esports as just different sports, then it starts to make a lot of sense. Like, there are some games out there that are the badminton of esports. And then there are other games like League of Legends, which are the NFL of esports. Okay. They're just a better product. And so the question isn't so much, should we have esports in Ashes of Creation? The question is, can we make an esport that's worth watching? That's the question. So in that's where I'm going to leave my first general thought. And Cash, what do you think about that? Do you think that Ashes can make an esport that's worth watching?
I absolutely do. And I actually have quite a few ideas that I'm kind of excited to share. I'm not going to share them quite yet because I think I want to get some general comments of this. Before I give my complete thought on it here, the one thing that I do want to mention is that Jib's video was really good because it talked about how these were the questions that were asked from Intrepid about whether or not esports could work and like what are some of the ideas that we could do. Like in Jib's video, he kind of went into the history of what esports really is and what it's meant to the gaming community at large. And I think it was really interesting because Jibs, I know, and I'm sure you're going to talk about it, is definitely a fan of esports. I myself am not, but getting to think about this stuff a little bit, I think there's some ways that Ashes could definitely do it that would be very interesting. But reading some of the comments on the video that we put out, all the comments were very nice, but there is a definite line of demarcation. Right, seems like it's right down the middle. Either people are super into it, or people do not want esports anywhere near their game. And I totally understand like both sides of that argument. They don't want it commercialized and they would like the game to be maybe have a little bit more of a role play feel and just be more of an organic experience for them, especially because it's a little more sandboxy. But I will get there. I'm very excited about sharing some of these ideas with you. Myself, I'm kind of right on the fence. I would rather see things implemented within the game that could be esportable, that still allow for there to be a really fun in-game medieval fantasy feel. So, like, for example, I think the one that kind of rode the fence a little bit, but really turned out to be a metric crap ton of fun was Hut Ball in Star Wars: The Old Republic. It was so much fun, and it fit into the lore. They could have easily had SWTOR been a little bit more popular, they could have easily turned Hutball into an esport for sure. They didn't have the resources to make something like that happen, and the game struggled. So that something like that wasn't able to happen. But you take something like that fits right into the lore of the Star Wars universe, do that transversely in Ashes of Creation in Vera, I think you really stand a chance to do something really fun. Now, the other thing is that it takes a lot of resources to be able to pull something like that off. A lot of the sentiment that we were getting in the comments is, look, great idea, but can we just make sure that this game plays well first before we do anything? It's like, dudes and dudettes, completely understand what you're saying, and I'm on board with that. So that's why I say I kind of waffle on the fence. We'll go to Jibs, and then I'll share the rest. I'll share some of my ideas a little bit later.
You know, I've had some time of reflection since I made that video. Since I recorded me talking that video. I think that
I can just picture you in like a confessional. It's like, I've made a terrible mistake.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't, buddy. That was, I think it was a really good, true statements from you about how you really felt about esports and about things that you love in gaming. So go.
Yeah, no, I still stand by a lot of what I said, but I'm seeing a different perspective of it now. So when I talked to, and I don't want to spoil the video, but one of the things I talked about in the video was Ashes of Creation has a really unique opportunity to do something different. And that's the part I really want to further elaborate on. I mean, and I said in the video, it's no secret. All three of us here really enjoy PvP. We all really enjoy story. We really enjoy lore. Just so happens Ashes has all of those. Yay for us. I'm so excited. So anyway, when it comes to PvP, they have an opportunity to do something different. Okay, you could do arenas, but I think that's beneath Ashes of Creation. Because Ashes of Creation is a different kind of MMO. What they're building is not on the market. What they're bringing back is that old school vibe of MMORPGs that we saw over a decade plus ago, okay? So I think with the fact that Ashes of Creation has a unique opportunity to do something different, I think it has a chance to, when players get in the game, we'll see what's popping off. Cash, you're 100% right. Hutball, to this day, in my opinion, is the best battleground that has ever come out in any MMORPG. It plays...
Preach.
It's so good, and it shocks me to this day that
Explain it a little bit.
So that nobody else in the industry picked this up. So what Hutball is this, folks? Basically, think football, okay? But it's like soccer in a way, blended together. Players are opposing teams start on each side, and there's all kinds of traps and everything in the middle of the field. And your goal is to pass the Hutball between players as we're fighting to get it across the line. Basically, quote unquote, the line of scrimmage to score. That's Hutball in a nutshell. It's like first to 3 year wins. It played so well. It's insane how well it played. And you know what? The love for that was birthed out of playing the game. And you saw the players gravitate towards that because it was good. It was a thing that that player base specifically gravitated towards when it comes to that game. So I say that in lieu of Ashes. We don't know what that thing is going to be. Guys, it could be people having races with their boats. It could be people swimming in the opposite direction up a creek against the current. I don't know. It could be all these things. It could be smaller sieges. You know, something that maybe could be instance. We don't know what that thing is going to be, but whatever's hot in Ashes of Creation, that's something I think they should take a look at. Now, I'm not saying immediately. Sorry, I don't mean to ramble, Sonny. You're coming up. But, you know, I don't mean they should do this immediately. Let it come naturally, and I'll add more later. But that's my take is identify what that hot thing is in Ashes that people love to do. And why not blow it up a little bit more? Why not have some more fun with it? Why not make a huge thing for your community? You know, use the resources you have. Don't hire 500 people to do an eSports wing of your division. Just start small and let it grow naturally and see where the players take it.
I can't believe that I am going to have to be the person that is the most vocally in favor of this, but like I really, really am. Okay. And this is not something that would normally be my stance on this, but I would be shocked at the opportunity that they would miss if they would not do something like this, because this is a fantastic opportunity. And the only reason that it would not be appropriate in universe is a failure of imagination. Okay, that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna call out Intrepid here, and I'm gonna say you have an opportunity to make something fun here. All you have to do is be creative. They're very creative. There's been a couple comments in the chat, and Alex basically stole my thunder like right before I said it, and that is jousting tournaments. Okay, Ooh. This is a medieval type of thing. You have a metropolis. If you can build a node to a metropolis, you could potentially put a jousting thing in there. Now you've got knights on horses trying to knock each other off. You've got hand-to-hand combat. You've got all of this stuff. Not only that, but think of, and I'm gonna like channel my inner Dr. Burns here, your Mendelian breeding for animal husbandry.
What?
Yeah. Gregor Mendel, remember how he said the genetics thing? He made a fantastic. No, that is not a yellow flag. Don't you throw that flag on me. Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. You put that flag down right now. I am saying that by the potential that they have already alluded to in the animal husbandry system, you could have a very complicated breeding system with animals. And if you do have that, you could have horses that are very like minutely faster than other ones and maybe more agile and other characteristics, which means you could have really cool horse races. So all of these things, that's right in universe, right? And you could even, like, I love the idea that it would be attached to a level of a node, right? Like that they only exist in certain things when you unlock other things within the world. Like all of this stuff is, it's only limited by the creativity of Intrepid. And I think that all of those things can be esports. Like JB said, Hutball, the single greatest PvP experience I've ever had. And I've never seen it before, and I've never seen it since. I've never seen anything even close to it before or since. And that's crazy to me, right? Anyone you talk to that experienced those early days of SWTOR will tell you about Hutball. It might be the best achievement they ever had in that game. And I know, Cash, you mentioned resources. Don't tell me resources. There was no company that had more resources than a Star Wars IP run by BioWare. And
yeah, at the time, you're
EA,
right.
For God's sakes. They were published by EA. They had all the resources. They just couldn't hang it together, right? So I think that if Intrepid can hang some of this together and they can be creative and they can put this stuff out there, then it is ripe for an esport. They just have to dial it in. They got to make it something that the person wants to consume. That's all there is to it. That's how you end up with an esport.
That's why it endears my heart to see them come to the community to talk about this stuff and to get feedback from the community. So I think as a trio here, we've answered the first question. What are our thoughts on esports and player-run competitive events in the MMORPG genre as a whole, right? We talked about Hutball. The other thing that we didn't say about Hutball, the entire match was shoutcasted.
Oh, yes.
Dude.
By AI.
It's you know what? I went and played it. We were back in that a year ago, weren't we, Cash? Like a year and a half ago?
Yeah,
it's
maybe more.
Still good. I was there. Still
awesome.
Holds up. Yeah. I can't believe it.
It's still fun. Okay, I'm going to cycle right back into, because we're getting into the idea thing. The second question that Intrepid asked was, what type of competitive, spectator-friendly content do you think could be fitting for Ashes of Creation? Jibs, I'm going to go to you. I'm going to go to you first. I'm not going to share my stuff yet, but I'm really interested to know. And Sonny, you're going to have to think of something else other than jousting. Jousting's fantastic. Let's really find some good ideas, some good bullet points that we could give to Intrepid on this stuff. And Chad, if you have anything too, man, throw them out there, because this is our opportunity if we want to see some type of an esport. You don't even have to call it an esport. Call it whatever the hell you want. I think the thing with esports is that term just completely torques some people sometimes. So
it does. It's loaded. It is.
It
loaded.
is. It's a super loaded term. What's the one game? This is a gimme. What is the one game everybody thinks of when they hear the term esports?
League of Legends.
What kind of community does League of Legends have, my friends? There you go. You put one on one hand, you put the other on the other hand, then you end up with, that's what everybody thinks about esports. But if you called it something different, it wasn't an esport, but it had all the mechanics of esports. You just called it something different. I'm telling you,
sport.
You can sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves. It's all how you do it. So, Jibs, ideas.
Okay, so you want ideas for what they should make or what we'd like to see?
What do you think would fit in Vera as a spectator-friendly esport?
Well, if I remember correctly, Steven milked that cow pretty quickly in that Node preview we saw that one time.
Okay. All right.
So,
red flag.
We're going here.
Yeah. You gotta change your settings. Is that an orange flag?
No, it's actually red. It's because of red. It's because the tavern is orange.
Oh. All right, I've had my fun. Okay.
Get an orange flag.
I think for me, off the top, it's tough. I still go back to what I said originally. It really kind of goes back to some of the things that Ashes has built into it. I think probably a great thing to see would be taking advantage, and this is absolutely probably a little weighted in this direction because I love it, but naval. I would really love to see them open a esports scene, something for the community, maybe something community driven that is naval battles. We haven't seen I would say since Arc Age, we haven't really seen ships in MMOs. So I would like to see that brought to life in Ashes of Creation. There could be another thing too, guys, that when you talk about that, is it the Divine Node that has the the layered dungeon, the layered open world dungeon?
Yes. Divine Node has the catacombs.
Right. So, when I think of esports, I don't just think of PvP. The mythic scene in World of Warcraft, I think it's amazing that they've been able to succeed with that. That's a PvE setting. So seeing something like that, making use of that multi-layer dungeon, that could be cool as well.
And easily implementable, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to, what's exciting and people are into. Can you effectively create the tools that's needed to put on a presentation that people will love and enjoy? And then third, presentation, the whole experience. Is it fun? Is it fun to watch? Is it great? And at the end of the day, I mean, if that's it, then run with it and go with it because, I'm going to mention Hupball again, but all the pieces were there. That is a battleground that's aged like fine wine and is still good to this day. And the people love playing it, so like if that can be identified in Ashes of Creation, Sonny, I think that, yeah, man, I run with it. Have fun with it. Go with it.
I have one word for both of you. And you may not know what I'm talking about, but the word is Gwent.
Oh, okay. Yep. I like it.
Bud.
I like it.
Yeah.
Tavern-based card game.
Yeah.
Okay? Card game inside the universe, played at taverns against other people or NPCs with cards that can be collected in the larger Vera.
Yeah, dude.
Whoa.
Yes.
That's not on my list. And I will say parlor games, especially a card game, that gets all kinds of valves opening and closing for me. That's amazing.
Gwent would be freaking fantastic. Anybody that doesn't know what Gwent is The Witcher's collectible card game. I don't know if you call it a collectible card game, but either way, it was in universe and you could go to various places and play people in Gwent and you could get cards and then you could play Gwent as a separate standalone game, which was basically an esport. I mean, it was Hearthstone, it was Legends of Runeterra, it was all of those games. It was absolutely fantastic. And it was the kind of thing that some people got into to the level of that's all they did, right? Like that was their game. They just were a Hearthstone player, right? But then Hearthstone still exists within the World of Warcraft universe. So if you could have something like that in Vera, it's so easy to implement the concept. All you have to do is have this thing where an NPC teaches you how to play this game and says, and oh, by the way, there's people all over the place that'll play this. And then you can just put up a table in your tavern and have people play against each other, right? You set up a couple mechanics for like, if you both sit down at the table, if somebody's sitting at the table, somebody sits down at the table next to you, then you can put a little wager up. You could play a little, you know, whatever it is, Gwent, and then off you go. And it is ripe for it. It is fantastic. I'm very excited about this idea.
That's like poker in Red Dead Redemption.
Oh,
yes.
Dude.
It's precisely it, right? Like,
so
it's precisely it. You have that community built opportunity there. I do like the idea of Gwent a little bit more than poker, because poker always has the same deck. Whereas if you want to incorporate it a little more into the larger universe, you can make cards that are more collectible, because I think that makes for a better esport. Poker makes for a great game. Don't get me wrong there. But I do like the idea of the collectible thing, because it's a more modern thing that kids like a little bit more. I mean, you're talking to a guy that played an awful lot of poker.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna have to tell a story here. So it's not just that it's not in world, because trust me, if there was a freaking poker table in Ashes of Creation, that would be the one thing that would keep Sunny out of the damn trading post. I will tell you that right now. So, quick story. Periodically, we like to have events in our Discord, and one of the last ones we had, besides like we'll watch movies sometimes, but one of the ones that comes to recent memory was when a few of us got together. It was probably, I don't know, 6 or 8 of us, and we were playing poker. Discord has these parlor type games that you can get together with your friends, and it's built right into the interface, and you can play games. So look at the smirk on this effer's face. He knows what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
So we are all in there. We're playing poker. We're having a great time. Sunny, who used to play poker professionally, jumps in and goes, "Oh, sure, I'll hop in for a few hands." He hops in and proceeds to run the entire table completely dry. Everybody was out. Not a chip, not a chair. We were done. He ran the whole damn table. So, yeah, I never quite told you how many marks you went down in my book after you did that night. That was so blatant.
Yeah, you remember the vibe by the end of it? It's like, well, we were having fun.
It's completely ruined poker night. I felt a little bad. I was at work, and I jumped in. I was like, "Oh, you guys are playing poker? Can I sit in?"
Oh, I have never hoped for somebody for an old person to poop their pants so bad in my life.
Oh, it's so good.
I don't get to play as much as I used to.
Yeah, well, you haven't lost your touch, I'll tell you that much. So, okay. Does anybody have anything else they want to throw in? I have a few of my own.
Fire away. I want to hear these ideas. I want to hear these
I'd like
ideas.
to throw in there. So, Jibs, to your point, naval combat, 1,000%. I took kind of the thought process a little bit further, and I was like, well, how could this actually work? My thought was it could start off with 2 teams together. Each team gets a certain amount of ships, right? And you do a ship-to-ship battle for control of an island. Somehow in that competition, it transitions to a land battle, which would finish off the match to take control of certain land points. So you're mixing naval content with ground combat. That was one of the ideas that I had. I thought, well, that'd be kind of cool to get naval
like
combat.
King of the Hill
involved.
with ships.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or maybe you have a defender that's in a stronghold firing cannons off from a land-based position to ships that are trying to assault. And the goal is to assault and take over the stronghold or successfully defend. I thought that'd be really, really fun. Another one is, and keep in mind, folks, some of this is going to have to be instanced. Now, had this been a complete sandbox game, I probably would have nixed a lot of these ideas. But since we're going into a sandbox/theme park, instancing some of this stuff might not be too bad if you wanted to make it into some type of a competitive scene. Another one is, what's one of the biggest things that Ashes of Creation folks have been talking about lately? Caravans, right? So could be instanced defender attacker style, right? Where you get one of the two sides. There's a ticket system for respawns, just like a battleground would be. And you must either successfully defend or deliver the goods to win. So maybe both sides. Say you assault the caravan, you have to successfully get those goods onto your caravan and deliver them for the win. Or you successfully defend your launched caravan and deliver the goods for the win, right? Maybe along the way, there's some NPC checkpoints or some outposts or bandits to deal with along the way. Okay, that's another idea. Things like that. So the naval combat and the caravan battle, that is going to mean you're going to have to get your group makeup is going to matter, right? So you're going to have to slot certain classes to do certain things. Caravan specs are going to matter. So in that whole system about building your strengths and defending or attacking caravans, you're going to have to build that up in order to be more effective. Okay, moving through. I saw a little note here in our little private chat about fishing derby. Totally, absolutely, 1000% fishing derby. The one that comes to mind is World of Warcraft. They still have theirs after 20 some odd years, almost 20 years.
Stranglethorn Vale.
They have the Stranglethorn Vale fishing competition.
JB, did you ever win the Stranglethorn Vale fishing competition?
I've never done it a single time. I've never seen it to do it. No.
You've never done it?
It's on a certain day of the week.
I've never seen it.
It's like Sunday morning. It was Sunday mornings they did it.
Yeah.
I won it once. It was like
Did you?
the greatest day ever.
Of course you did.
What did it
really
feel
did
like to
win it
cheat
once.
in an MMORPG, Sonny?
I'll tell you, I ran it probably over like 24 times though.
Oh, wow.
I would get up specifically and go down to Stranglethorn Vale to run that thing. That's how much I loved that contest.
Nerd.
It was great. It was great.
I love it. Well, I'm like that was the whole reason I thought about this fishing derby. So some type of an NPC that you turn into after the event time ends, right? This is totally streamable. It's totally something that could be, I don't even want to call it an esport anymore. Some type of a competitive event in Ashes of Creation. You get prizes for the biggest fish. You get prizes for the rarest fish, prizes for the smallest fish, prizes for the most fish. Okay. Here's another one. Riddle me this. The Great Hunt. Okay.
Oh.
2 teams or multiple teams compete to acquire the most skins in a certain amount of time in some type of an instant zone or not. It could be right in the actual world. You got to start it at the NPC, end it at the NPC. Maybe there's a boss fight at the end. You've killed so many wolves that the alpha is pissed. So now you have to defeat the alpha, right? It's just an idea, you guys. Don't be super upset at me. Don't be upset. Now,
What if you did this? Here's a wrinkle for you, because that really is against everything you know about hunting conservation, right? You don't just go out into the woods with your long magazine in your gun and just start rattling off deer, right?
So let's say that wolves are that there are so many wolves in the area that they have to decrease the population. So everybody that joins the Great Hunt has a legitimate, lawful degradation permit. How about that?
I'll do you one better. You get one arrow and have to go in, and it's biggest deer wins.
That seems like a pretty short competition.
No, so you have to pick of the deer as other people are going around. You only get to shoot one deer because you only have a tag for one deer. So now you have to pick and see if you can come back with the biggest deer.
That seems like a lot of work for Intrepid to have to make a lot of different deer, a lot of different sizes and bigger racks and different configurations. I love the idea. Dude, I love the idea because that would make a hunting game within Ashes of Creation. I'm all about that. It'd be fantastic. Jibs, you had something.
Just like the Skull and Bones, Sonny, the automatic cannons that are currently being portrayed in that game. I want a repeating crossbow, and I want to skin some deer, okay?
Oh, you mean Pirate Call of Duty?
Deer!
Okay, I have one more. All right, one more. Don't you dare derail me. One more. I am all about this, especially if it has some type of role play flavor. And I heard some about this, which makes me very happy that other folks are on like the same wavelength as I am with this stuff, because like you guys, we're all nerds. That's why we're talking about this stuff on a podcast. But you want to throw some role play flavor in there, have a seasonal event like a big medieval fair. What is one of the biggest things that they had at medieval fairs? Of course, you guys mentioned it. Jousting. Right? Mount racing, hunting competitions, archery, arena combat. But you make it a seasonal event. Those are very, very, very competitive type of events that you can make between nodes. You have it, say, in 1 or 2 locations in Vera on your server where everybody... You want to make it an event, friends? That event takes place at a certain city or metropolis, right? And everybody has to travel there to take place. How freaking fun would that be? And how much realism would that add to it? Because now you're traveling there with your friends. For Sonny, it would be with your thespian troupe. You're all traveling there. And everybody is just... It is a server-wide event that happens every season that people travel to, and you come into this metropolis, it's decorated like there's a giant fair going on there.
I like that a lot.
How fun would that be?
I like that a lot. Yeah, that's cool.
JB, what do you think about all this?
That's a loaded question.
It is.
I think it's
a big thing though, right? Like it's eSports as like what Cash basically did was named any competitive thing within the game.
Yeah.
Do you think that it needs to be more refined to be an esport, or do you think basically you can take almost any competitive thing and make it that?
I think the latter. I think that, Cash, you brought up an interesting point when you mentioned the moment that you put the word esport on there, there's a negative connotation, and you're not wrong. I will say this, that whether you love or hate League of Legends, there is a roar that happens at I think it's called LCS, their championships that they have. There is a roar that you hear from that crowd that you hear no place else. Not at BlizzCon, nowhere. That place is screaming in just a giant roar with all these fans that are passionate about that one thing. It's impressive. It really is. It's cool to watch. And that whole culture that surrounds that is what's, I think, to me, the fun part about it. For us, we were enjoying the Runeterra lore for a long time just because it was so rich. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love Darius and all these fun things. But with Ashes, I think it's like, hey, like what's the thing that really everyone gets excited about? What's the culture? Like, where's the culture form around? Is it this medieval fair that Cash brought up? Shoot, I'd even add to it. Maybe there's qualifiers that happen, like community run qualifiers or something that leads you up to being part of the big thing. I don't know.
Ooh, that would be interesting, right?
Yeah, I think it's just, to get back to my original point, I think the moment that you tie esports to it, it gets that connotation. And oftentimes, truthfully, rightfully so, depending on the IP that you're looking at out there. So I think they really have a lot of choices. the things that they could do that make sense for the game, the kind of game they're creating. And I think at the end of the day, no matter what they do, make sure that community is first in these choices. It's community driven. It's community, get your community involved, your shoutcasters, whatever you want to do, people who are, cameramen for the day, whatever it is, whatever it needs to be to get the angles that you need for your presentation, fun things, whatever. Just make it community led, community driven. And I think that you may be surprised at the results that you see.
I think that there's something that we haven't talked about here, and it really should have been low-hanging fruit for this entire conversation, and we completely missed it. Military nodes have this built into them.
Yeah, that's
Military
true.
nodes, to be mayor, you have to win an esport. You have to compete against other people to become the mayor of a military node. Cash, is this not an esport right there?
I just put my hand up because I request trial by combat.
Oh, okay. Well, that's probably maybe good for you. I would personally hire a competent attorney, but good luck.
You would hire an attorney to fight for you?
Yeah. I had a friend in law school. That, honest to God, I think wrote like an entire thesis paper on how he thought that attorneys evolved from gladiators. That you would eventually, first in the early days, you would have a dispute and those two people would kill each other, right? And then the people with a lot of money were like, well, we don't want to kill each other. We're both worth a lot of money. So they'd hire somebody to kill each other. And then you develop an adversarial system until eventually they just kind of threw away the swords and they just fought it out in court.
And he wrote a thesis on that?
I don't know.
We
do a lot of weird
That's pretty
things in
genius.
school.
Is that person's name Saul Goodman now?
Better call Saul.
Look, not all of us were arguing in front of the Supreme Court, all right?
Oh.
No,
I think that the military node thing is huge for this because it's already built in. It has a system in place with the end being this prize that is the mayorship of a military node. All you have to do is flesh it out a little bit more. And like you both said, and this is one of the underrated parts about this. If you take something competitive and you put some announcers to it, and you put some people with personality shoutcasting it, that's how you build an esport.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a good way to take it. Because the last question that they asked are there any tools that you would like to make that you would like or would make competitive events easier for players to run? Jibs?
Oh, absolutely. I'm just going to go to the camera views. The moment that you can provide camera views and the moment that you can provide infographics for people watching. Ultimately, you have to be able to make a presentation. It has to be, you want it to be professional. You want to push every boundary and you want to blow everybody else out of the water. And you want it to hit home and leave your crowd wanting instead of wanting to leave. That's what you want. You want them just to be like, whoa, that was amazing. Instead of, oh gosh, I'm getting the heck out of here. So just give them the tools. So cameras, I'm all on board on cameras, switching between cameras, and then the UI, the proper UI, to give that the amount of information that's needed, not too much, but enough for them to be able to take it in and be like, oh, okay, I know what's happening here.
And this is exactly what we've said on a number of different fronts for our podcast, right? Don't build the thing for us. Give us the tools and let us build it, right? This is another fantastic example of that. We will create our own fun with this. All you have to do is give us the tools in game to do it. Camera angles, instant replay, and the ability to move around stuff where it's not affecting the actual event. And you will, I guarantee you, create shoutcasts and Twitch streams and all sorts of stuff. It will just happen organically on its own.
Yeah.
All you have to do is build the tools and give them to the players.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Galwood said right there. I mean, he's like, Twitch is, I'm going to read this verbatim because it's exactly perfect. Twitch is littered with dead games that tried to become an esport. If Intrepid just gives the community tools, it's a low risk way to see if there's something special
there. You go.
He's exactly right.
Yep.
And you could have taken that statement and you could have applied it to 4 or 5 other different conversations that we've had, right? As far as caravans and things like that. And and all of the different elements of gameplay, where all we really want as MMO players is the tools to be able to make our own fun. That's it, right?
Yep.
That's why I love this comment or this question they asked, because they're specifically asking, what tools do you want to make competitive events easier for you to run? And they're talking about us. Again, I'm super humbled, and I love the fact that they're coming to their players to ask what we want. So I'm going to give an idea here. The biggest one.
Another idea.
One of the biggest tools that I think we would need is a calendar. And this is not just for events like this, but this is for things that you're going to schedule with your guild. We have to have a good, solid, editable calendar for our guilds, and maybe even the mayors get access to a node. Or look at Sunny's eyes. Did you say mayor? Even the mayors maybe get access to a node-wide or server-wide calendar to post things, to post events for just this kind of thing. Leaderboards would be another really good thing when they decide whatever they're going to do. Leaderboards would be fantastic to see kind of who won the fishing derby. Mm-hmm. Who kicked ass in the caravan battle thing, whatever, for your server. I think those things are going to be very, very important. Another thing I think that they really, really need to do, if they're getting feedback on this, and I really, really hope they are, I want to go back and read through the feedback that they are getting. If that feedback is valuable enough and there's enough sway in one area or another, I think a really good idea would be to concentrate on maybe a couple of these ideas instead of trying to just blast it out and do a whole bunch of stuff. Your players will make their own events, whether or not they're esportable or streamable, definitely yes. But whether or not they're esportable, that's you have to really kind of have some kind of support from Intrepid to make that really, really a thing. Do I think they're going to beat out MOBAs? No, they're probably not going to beat out MOBAs. If AshesOfCreation is successful and they garner a big player audience, which I really think is going to be the case, do they have an opportunity to launch something like a Mythic Plus, or like whatever they want to call it, Dungeons Extra? I don't know. They'll come up with a cool name. But if they end up launching something like that, it could be incredibly popular. If they were to pick just a couple of those things and go, then I think there's a really good chance for them to have some type of a competitive scene. I don't even want to say esports anymore because there's too much of a stigma to that freaking term. Along the same vein, if they give players the opportunity to create their own competitions. Jibs, what was one of the most fun things that we did? I think, Sonny, you were even there. What was one of the most fun things we did in Elder Scrolls Online?
Human darts.
Human darts. We picked the highest spot that we could find in the game that people could inhabit. And we picked a target on the ground, and we just lawn darted to our deaths to see who could be the closest.
Did you stick on the bottom?
Wherever your dead body was closest to the point, those were the winners. How popular was that stupid freaking event that we did? It was so fun.
So popular, you had 20 plus people lined up in a row to jump to their death, and you measured it by their hand, because when they would land an ESO, their hand would just be like, just like straight out, like full on, like prostrate on the ground. And yeah, you're right. I think we measured it. They had to get it towards a certain like distance between a rock or it was either rock or like a book or something that the developers had put on the ground naturally. And they loved it. They ate it up. And I know we're going to do the same thing in Ashes, so I'm looking for that too.
Oh, that's so
we are. And actually, Adele in chat was there. He was there.
Oh my gosh,
so Adele, thank you for mentioning that. It was a super fun time. So what I'm saying is, if you give players the mechanics, they are going to create their own events that may or may not be like some super important, super popular type of competitive event. But if they are to stick with just a couple of really good ideas, they really stand a chance to make Ashes of Creation competitive.
And this will be my last statement. Like, I totally agree with that. I think that the thing that you walk away with on tonight's conversation, other than the fact that I love to gamble, because if you put the ponies, if you could put horse racing in this game, you'd never see me again. My God, our tavern would have an absolute bookie corner on it. It would be spectacular. You'd have the food items on one side and the odds on the other side.
Like Peaky Blinders, man. Oh my gosh.
It would be so good. But
there's support groups for shit like that, bro.
Yeah, they are, but those guys are losers. Anyway, and a great example of this was in SWTOR. They had an area that was a complete open PvP zone, and it was not like a zone, but like it was like a hole in the ground. And we ran an event there that I created called Thermopylae, and it was entirely player created. And we took all the clothes off of like 10 people. All they had was their weapons and loincloths, and then everyone. No, those people in the pit, those 10 people were the Spartans. They had all the gear, and then everyone else had no gear and only weapons, and they were the Persians. And like 1 million Persians tried to attack the 10 Spartans, and you could see how long it went. And that was entirely player created. All they did was give us the tools. And JB,
I have it,
made a fantastic video.
I'll link it in our Discord right now.
He had the camera angles for the things. So this was like one of the first moments that I had met JB, and it's something like that where you just have tools available to the players, and that's all we really need. Yep. Everything after that is fantastic. But man, if I could get an in-game card game that you could develop with that, I mean, you could spawn an entire other game out of that. That is the thing that I would love more than anything out of that. So that's all I'll say. Give me Gwent, and then give me some tools.
Yeah, guys, I think that, it's going to be, no matter what happens, it's going to be interesting to see the decisions that they make. And I think it, just judging by that last question they asked, what tools would the community like to see for community events, that sort of thing, like that really piques my interest. And, if Ashes of Creation is consistent in anything, that they've been consistent in anything, and they've been consistent in a lot. But I'll say, if anything, just from us, from like a bird's eye view, even when we took that 3 years off, their focus has always been the community feedback. You have that level of transparency with their development that you just don't see anywhere else. So overall, guys, I think this is going to be a fun one to see how it fleshes out.
It is. I think we gave that a good go, and I always kind of beam a little bit when I think we're able to really give them some good feedback. Now, whether or not they listen to the show is another thing, which probably not. So we'll probably take the notes from this and just drop them into the actual forum so they get some feedback on it. But man, I love discussing stuff like this, because when a question like this is brought to nerds, like, we're going to tear it apart, and we're going to try and figure out some of the funnest stuff we could possibly figure out. And of course, us here at LoreForged, we're super into the world. We're into Vera. We're into the lore, the story of it. So we're going to try and give it the most RP flavor that we can. So like, that's really how you get people like us to get super invested and involved in something like this, is if you add a little bit of context to why you are doing it in the world. I just think that's such an important aspect for me. So I would hope that they would add that in as anything that they were going to pick in the competitive scene.
They're creative people. They can do it. It's not that hard.
Yeah, tomato. We got it. All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. This was the LoreForged podcast for Ashes of Creation. Now, before you go anywhere, if you enjoyed your time, we want to know about it. On your podcast app of choice, take a couple minutes. Let us know how we're doing. For every written 5-star review that we get on Apple Podcasts, we will read your review right here on the show. And don't forget, you can always call us 516-875-1776. Cash is drinking from a metal mug, in case you heard that little ting there.
Not bad.
You can always email us, LoreForgedHQ@gmail.com. Sunny Ravencourt.
I feel like you should have had like a rubber nipple on the end of that thing.
I probably should have. It sounded like something died inside my Yeti.
Yeah, a little bit. Oh.
Oh my goodness. Okay, you can go to our website, which is basically a linked. I'm broken. I am broken. Go to LoreForged.com. Find links for all sorts of stuff. Go to YouTube, youtube.com/@LoreForged. And you're watching Twitch right now. But if you haven't seen, we're coming out with all sorts of fun Twitch stuff. And we are expanding our Twitchiverse. I think that that's going to be an area that we really provide you some super fun stuff. JB did a map making stream last week. Cash has been doing some pyrography, which is basically him lighting things on fire in the comfort of his own home. And I am trying desperately to finish playing Kingdom Come Deliverance, which shows no end in sight. Patreon, you can get all of our content early, and the State of the Owl. We just recorded our most recent State of the Owl 2 days ago. That is available to our patrons at patreon.com/LoreForgedHQ. And I swear to God, this coming week, within 7 days, we're going to start to implement some stuff on the Happy Hour channel, which is also something that is exclusive in Discord to our patrons. Cash.
Friends, one of the biggest things that we're doing is that we're trying to do here is build a community. It's one of our very favorite things to do, and it is definitely a goal here for us. So above and beyond, bringing you news and commentary and all the stuff about Ashes of Creation and its development, and well beyond when it's released, we are really, really focused on building a respectful, fun community where people can come to and they can feel that it's a nice escape from all the BS that's going on in the world, and just have a good time talking to other people about games and sharing parts of their lives. And I really am very happy to say that I really think we are succeeding in that. We have some very fun people that have joined as of late, and I see them in chat. I see people continuing to return. So to me, it's a really good indicator that we're doing the right things and we're executing this the way that we wanted to execute it, and just building a very inviting community. I say all that to say this: each week we are seeing new people come on board, and every week we'll get 4 or 5, maybe 6 people come on. But the difference is that we're seeing that makes us smile is that our folks are engaging. They're saying good morning, happy hoots every morning. Our logo is the owl. So every morning there's gifts in our chat with owls and people saying good morning and have a great day, and just all really kinds of nice, inviting things that show that we're really, really trying to create a family here. And I think that's what's working. So anyway, if you want to join us, everybody is invited into our Discord. Right now it's wide open. I anticipate it being that way for quite a while. At some point, we're probably going to get pretty darn busy, so I don't know if that's going to change once we get close to cap. But as for right now, just everybody's invited in. Come on in and join us. Have a good time. Hop into chat. We're in chat very frequently, playing games and just kind of building a family and building friendships that we hope last beyond Ashes. You can follow us on Twitter or X. Follow Jibs at Jibs IRL. Follow myself at Cash Quests. Follow Sunny on X at U of Coruscant. And don't forget to follow the show at LoreForged HQ. I want to welcome some new members to our Discord: Magic Mistress, Penumbra, Nova Zero, Garius, Crisco, and Alex Hyrule. Welcome to the family. If you haven't checked out Jibs' latest video on eSports in Ashes of Creation, that is on YouTube and live for you to consume.
Friends, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Have a wonderful week in gaming, and we will see you right back here. I couldn't think of the words I want to say. Jordan's right back here next week on the show. Take care.
Smooth finish off the beam.
Dang
there.
it. Who made a new line on the teleprompter again?
God, I think she broke her femur on that landing. Oh, the humanity.
Safe travels, adventurers.
Peace, love, and honeybees.
Woo! See y'all.